I gave my son everything I had. My savings, my trust, my entire life. And in the end, he sent me away like I never mattered. Now I sit in a nursing home, alone, waiting for someone who never comes. But that's not the worst part. The worst part is, I still remember the day I said yes to him. Because if I had said no, maybe I wouldn't be sitting here, waiting for a son who forgot I existed. But what happened next changed everything. Because in the same place where I was forgotten, I met someone I never expected, and she became the daughter I never had. Backhand index pointing right. If you believe this kind of emotional story should be told more often, please like this video right now. It helps this story reach more people. My name is Robert Miller. I worked for 41 years as a railroad mechanic in Pennsylvania. Every single morning, I woke up at 4:30 a.m. while the world was still sleeping. I was already working. I worked in heat that burned my skin. I worked in snow that froze my hands. I worked in rain that never seemed to stop. But I never gave up. Because I had a reason. My son, Daniel. His mother died when he was only 10 years old. From that day, I became everything for him. Father, mother, protector, provider. I cooked every meal. I cleaned the house. I helped with homework. I went to every school meeting, every event, every parent-teacher conference. Even when I was exhausted, I still showed up. One day, Daniel told me, "Dad, you don't have to come to everything." I smiled and said, "I'll always show up for you." And I meant every word. I never remarried. Because Daniel was my world. If you're watching this and you respect strong fathers like Robert, comment "true love" below. After 41 years of hard work, the day finally came. My retirement day. My coworkers clapped. They shook my hand. They gave me a plaque. But what mattered most was the envelope. $220,000. All my life savings. I held it quietly. Every back pain, every night shift, every sacrifice was inside that envelope. That night, I made a decision. This money will go to my son. That evening, Daniel came to visit. He looked confident, successful, ambitious. "Dad," he said, "I've been waiting for this day." I served him coffee. He leaned forward. "I want to start a logistics company. I just need capital. If you invest, we'll both live better lives." I paused. It was everything I had. Everything. But then he grabbed my hand. "Dad, I'm your son. Don't you trust me?" I looked into his eyes, and I saw the little boy I raised alone. So I said, "I trust you with my life." The next morning, we went to the bank. I signed the papers. And just like that, $220,000 was gone. Daniel hugged me tightly. "Dad, I will never disappoint you." I smiled. For the first time in years, I felt peace. If you're enjoying this story so far, please subscribe now so you don't miss the next emotional story. At first, everything was perfect. Daniel called every day. "Dad, business is growing. Dad, we bought trucks. Dad, everything is going great." I was proud. But slowly, the calls stopped. 1 day, 2 days, 1 week. No answer. I tried calling him. No response. I tried texting him. Nothing. Silence. One day, Daniel came back. But something was different. He wasn't warm anymore. He wasn't the same. "Dad," he said slowly, "I think it's better if you move into a retirement home." I froze. "What did you say?" He avoided my eyes. "They'll take better care of you there." I tried to smile. "I thought I would stay with you." He sighed. "Dad, this is best." And just like that, my world cracked. A few days later, I arrived. 1 suitcase. That's all I had left. Daniel signed the papers quickly. "I'll visit every week," he said. I nodded. "I'll be waiting." He hugged me once, then turned and left. That was the last time I saw my son. Days passed. Weeks passed. Months passed. Every Sunday, I sat by the window, watching, waiting, hoping. But no one came. Not a call. Not a visit. Nothing. Only silence. If you've ever felt forgotten by someone you love, comment "I understand" below. Then one day she arrived. A young caregiver. "Hi, Mr. Robert. I'm Emily." Her voice was soft, kind, warm. She adjusted my blanket, smiled at me. "Are you expecting visitors?" I nodded. "My son, he will come." She paused, then softly said, "I hope he does." Emily started taking care of me every day. She listened. She laughed. She stayed when others rushed. One day she said, "You remind me of my dad." I asked, "What happened to him?" She looked down. "I never knew him. He left when I was a baby." I nodded slowly. "You deserved better." She smiled sadly. "So did you." Days became months. Months became years. Emily never left my side. She became my strength, my peace, my family. One day, she held my hand and said, "You're like my father." I cried, and I whispered, "You're the daughter I never had." If this story touched your heart, please like and subscribe for more emotional stories like this. One evening, I handed her the wooden box. "My grandfather gave me this. It's yours now." Inside was an antique gold pocket watch. She shook her head. "I can't take this." I smiled. "You already gave me something greater, love." She cried, and I closed my eyes. Finally at peace, Emily sat quietly beside Robert's bed. His hand was still warm, but he was gone. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she whispered, "Thank you, Dad." For the first time in her life, she meant that word. The nurses slowly covered him, but Emily didn't move. She held the wooden box tightly against her chest, like she was holding on to the only family she had left. If this moment touched you, take a second to like this video. Stories like this deserve to be remembered. The next morning, Robert's room was empty. The bed was made. The chair by the window was still. Emily walked in slowly. She looked at the window where he used to sit, waiting, hoping, watching families come and go. She sat in his chair and whispered, "I came, but your son never did." She wiped her tears, then looked down at the wooden box. She hadn't opened it again, not since that night. Later that afternoon, Emily visited a small antique shop. The old collector adjusted his glasses. "Where did you get this?" he asked. "It belonged to my father," Emily replied softly. He opened the watch carefully. His eyes widened. "This is rare, very rare." Emily leaned forward. "What do you mean?" He looked at her seriously. "This is a 1920 limited edition railroad pocket watch." Her heart started beating faster. "It's worth at least $600,000. Emily froze. Her hands started shaking. Robert had left her something worth more than everything he gave his son. Meanwhile, someone finally came to the nursing home. Daniel, Robert's son. He walked in nervously. "Excuse me. I'm looking for Robert Miller." The nurse looked at him. "You're too late." Daniel frowned. "What do you mean?" "He passed away 2 weeks ago." Daniel's face went pale. He sat down slowly. I was busy." But deep down, he knew that wasn't true. Daniel walked into Robert's old room. Empty. Silent. Cold. He sat in the chair by the window. The same chair his father waited in. And for the first time, he understood. He whispered, "I'm sorry, Dad." But apologies came too late. Days later, Daniel learned something shocking. Emily had inherited the antique watch. And its value, over $600,000. Daniel couldn't believe it. "My father gave that to a stranger?" But the nurse corrected him gently. "She wasn't a stranger. She was the only one who stayed." Daniel lowered his head, because deep inside, he knew. Emily was the daughter he should have been. Daniel couldn't stop thinking about what the nurse said. She wasn't a stranger. She was the only one who stayed. Those words echoed in his mind. For days, he felt restless. Guilt followed him everywhere. Finally, he returned to the nursing home. "Excuse me, do you know where Emily is?" he asked. The nurse hesitated. "She still works here, evening shift." Daniel nodded slowly. "I'll wait." For the first time in years, he was the one waiting, just like his father once did. Emily walked down the hallway carrying patient files. She stopped when she saw him. Daniel stood up. "You're Emily." She nodded carefully. "And you're Robert's son." There was silence. Heavy, uncomfortable silence. Daniel swallowed hard. "I heard you were there for him." Emily didn't answer. "I just wanted to say thank you." Emily looked at him calmly. "He waited for you every Sunday." Daniel's eyes filled with regret. "I know." But Emily shook her head gently. "No, you don't." Emily walked toward the window. The last thing he did every day was look outside. Daniel followed slowly. "He believed you would come." Daniel couldn't speak. His voice broke. "I was busy building my business." Emily turned to him. "And he was busy loving you." Those words hit him deeply. He sat down. For the first time, Daniel cried. Daniel looked at her hands. "You still have the watch?" Emily nodded. "He gave it to me the night he passed." Daniel sighed. "He gave me everything, and I gave him nothing." Emily shook her head. "He gave you love, you just didn't see it." Daniel whispered, "I don't deserve anything from him." Emily replied softly, "He didn't give it because you deserved it. He gave it because he loved." Days later, Emily used part of the money from the watch. She created something special, a small care program for elderly people abandoned by family. A place where no one would feel alone. She named it the Robert Miller Care Fund. Daniel visited the opening quietly. He saw photos of his father on the wall. Smiling. Peaceful. Loved. Emily walked up to him. He would have been proud of you if you were here. Daniel looked at her. I wasn't, but you were. Daniel looked at Robert's photo. I wish I had another chance. Emily smiled gently. He already gave you one. Daniel frowned. What do you mean? She pointed at the center. Helping others. Being present. Showing love. Daniel understood. His father's love didn't end. It continued, through her. Through kindness. Through care. Through the daughter he never had. Weeks passed after the opening of the Robert Miller Care Fund. The small center began to fill with elderly residents. Some were abandoned. Some had no children. Some were simply forgotten. But inside that place, no one felt alone. Emily walked slowly through the hallway. She stopped in front of a framed photo. Robert Miller, smiling peacefully. Below it, a small inscription read, "He was forgotten by one, but loved by many." Emily whispered softly, "You're still here, Dad?" One rainy afternoon, a nurse approached Emily. "We have a new resident." Emily nodded. An elderly man sat quietly in a wheelchair. He looked confused, fragile, scared. "His name is Mr. Harold Thompson," the nurse said. Emily knelt beside him. "Hello, Mr. Harold. I'm Emily." He looked at her with tired eyes. "My son said he'd come back." Emily paused. Those words felt painfully familiar. She smiled gently. "He will, but until then, I'm here." Days passed. Mr. Harold waited every evening by the window, just like Robert once did. Emily brought him tea. "You're waiting for your son?" she asked. He nodded slowly. "He's busy, but he loves me." Emily swallowed quietly. She had heard those words before, and she knew, sometimes love isn't shown in time. Meanwhile, Daniel began visiting regularly. Not for himself, but to help. He repaired furniture, brought supplies, paid for medical equipment. One day, he saw Mr. Harold sitting by the window. Daniel froze. It felt like looking at his father again. He walked slowly toward him. "Sir, are you waiting for someone?" Mr. Harold nodded. "My son." Daniel sat beside him. For the first time, he understood his father's pain completely. Emily watched from a distance. Daniel talking to Mr. Harold. Laughing. Listening. Being present. She smiled softly. Robert's love had changed him. Later, Daniel walked to Emily. "I can't change what I did." Emily nodded. "But you can change what you do next," she replied. Daniel looked around. At the elderly residents. At the photos. At the warmth. "I want to help, every day." Emily smiled. That's exactly what he would have wanted. Months later, the center expanded. More rooms. More caregivers. More families rebuilt. Above the entrance, a new sign appeared. Robert Miller Family Care Center. Daniel stood beside Emily. Visitors walked in. Elderly people smiled. No one sat alone. Daniel whispered, "My father gave me everything, and I finally understand why." Emily replied gently, "He didn't lose a son, he just gained a daughter." Daniel smiled sadly. "And I gained a family. I almost lost." Sometimes, love doesn't end when someone leaves. It grows. It heals. It changes lives. And sometimes, the daughter someone never had becomes the reason their love lives forever.